If you're over 60 and eat bananas regularly, there's something critical your doctor might not have told you. This beloved fruit, sitting innocently in fruit bowls across America, could be silently interfering with medications that millions of seniors depend on daily. What I'm about to share might completely change how you think about this popular superfood. I'm Dr. Susan Miller, a board-certified geriatric medicine specialist, and over my 23 years treating older adults, I've seen countless cases where something as simple as a banana created serious health complications. Today, I'm going to share the truth about when bananas stop being healthy and start becoming dangerous, especially for those of us over 60. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend hitting that button and turning on notifications so you never miss another health tip made especially for you. If you enjoy this video, send your video suggestions and questions in the comments. I read every single one, which helps me create more content and help more people like you. Let me start by saying this up front. Bananas aren't bad for everyone. They're packed with nutrients, fiber, and natural energy. But for certain seniors, especially those managing specific health conditions or taking particular medications, bananas can create problems that range from uncomfortable to genuinely life-threatening. And here's what worries me most. Very few people know about these risks until something goes wrong. I'll never forget Mrs. Patricia Gonzalez, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Tampa, Florida. Patricia was the picture of health consciousness. She walked 3 miles every morning, attended water aerobics twice weekly, and maintained what she believed was a perfect diet. Her breakfast routine never varied: oatmeal with sliced banana, a habit she'd maintained for over 30 years. Patricia loved telling her friends that bananas were her secret to staying regular and energetic. But Patricia had high blood pressure, and her doctor had prescribed an ACE inhibitor, a very common medication for seniors. What Patricia didn't know, what her busy physician hadn't had time to explain in detail, was that bananas are extraordinarily high in potassium. A single medium banana contains about 420 milligrams of this essential mineral. Under normal circumstances, potassium is wonderful for your body. It helps regulate heartbeat, supports muscle function, and maintains healthy blood pressure. However, ACE inhibitors work partly by helping your body retain potassium. When you combine a medication that increases potassium retention with a diet high in potassium-rich foods like bananas, you can develop a condition called hyperkalemia, which means dangerously elevated potassium levels in your blood. For months, Patricia experienced symptoms she attributed to aging: unusual fatigue, occasional muscle weakness, and odd tingling sensations in her extremities. She mentioned these to her doctor during routine visits, but without connecting them to her beloved morning banana. The situation came to a head one Thursday morning. Patricia felt her heart beating irregularly during her morning walk. By the time she reached home, she was dizzy and confused. Her daughter, visiting for the week, immediately drove her to the emergency room. Blood tests revealed Patricia's potassium levels were dangerously elevated, affecting her heart's electrical rhythm. The emergency physician asked detailed questions about her diet, and that's when the connection became clear. Patricia spent 2 days in the hospital while doctors worked to bring her potassium levels down and stabilize her heart rhythm. The cardiologist explained that while one banana occasionally wouldn't have caused problems, her daily banana combined with other potassium-rich foods in her diet and her blood pressure medication had created a perfect storm. Patricia was devastated. This fruit she'd trusted as a health food had nearly caused a cardiac emergency. If you're still watching and finding this information valuable, comment a heart below to show you're with me. Now, let's talk about diabetes, because this is another critical area where bananas can become problematic for seniors. As we age, our bodies naturally become less efficient at processing sugar. Many people over 60 either have type 2 diabetes or are pre-diabetic, and this is where bananas present a unique challenge. A medium banana contains about 27 grams of carbohydrates and 14 grams of sugar. That's natural sugar, yes, but your body processes it the same way it processes any sugar. The ripeness of the banana matters enormously. As bananas ripen, their resistant starch converts to simple sugars, which means that perfectly ripe banana with those appealing brown spots actually has a higher glycemic index than a slightly green one. Let me tell you about Mr. Roberto Santos, a 67-year-old former construction worker from San Diego, California. Roberto had been managing his type 2 diabetes for about 5 years, mostly through diet and exercise with a low dose of metformin. He'd worked hard to understand which foods spiked his blood sugar, and he'd become quite good at maintaining stable glucose levels. Roberto's wife, Maria, was an excellent cook who took pride in preparing healthy meals. She knew Roberto loved fruit, so she started making him smoothies every afternoon as a healthy snack. These smoothies typically included 2 bananas, some berries, yogurt, and a splash of orange juice. Maria believed she was supporting Roberto's health with these vitamin-packed drinks. But Roberto started noticing his blood sugar readings creeping upward during his afternoon checks. His morning fasting numbers remained stable, but by mid-afternoon, his glucose would spike into ranges his doctor had warned him to avoid. Roberto felt confused and frustrated. He was following his meal plan, walking daily, taking his medication consistently. What was going wrong? During his quarterly checkup, Roberto mentioned these afternoon spikes to his endocrinologist. They reviewed his food diary together, and the doctor immediately spotted the issue. Those afternoon smoothies, while nutritious in many ways, were delivering a massive dose of fast-digesting carbohydrates and natural sugars, with 2 bananas being the primary culprit. The liquid form made the problem worse because liquids are absorbed more quickly than solid foods, causing faster and higher blood sugar spikes. The doctor explained that while 1 banana could fit into Roberto's meal plan, 2 bananas plus other fruit and juice created too much sugar load for his body to handle efficiently. Roberto felt embarrassed that he hadn't recognized this himself, but his doctor reassured him that this was an extremely common misconception. Many people believe fruit, being natural, can be eaten without limits. But for diabetics and pre-diabetics, fruit must be consumed mindfully and in appropriate portions. Roberto and Maria adjusted his afternoon snack to include just half a banana in his smoothie, plus some protein powder and spinach to slow down sugar absorption. His afternoon blood sugar readings improved dramatically within days. But the experience taught Roberto an important lesson about how even healthy foods can become problematic in the wrong amounts or combinations, especially for seniors managing chronic conditions. But if that surprises you, wait until you hear about kidney disease and bananas. This is perhaps the most critical warning I can give, because the consequences here can be truly severe. Your kidneys are remarkable organs that filter waste products and excess minerals from your blood. As we age, kidney function naturally declines somewhat. Many seniors have chronic kidney disease in various stages, often without knowing it because early kidney disease rarely causes symptoms. When kidney function is compromised, your body loses its ability to efficiently eliminate excess potassium. This is where bananas become particularly dangerous. Remember, bananas are exceptionally high in potassium. For someone with healthy kidneys, this poses no problem. Your kidneys simply filter out what you don't need. But for someone with reduced kidney function, potassium can accumulate in the blood to dangerous levels very quickly. I remember Mrs. Helen Chang, a 78-year-old retired librarian from Seattle, Washington. Helen had stage 3 chronic kidney disease, which her nephrologist was monitoring carefully. She attended regular appointments, had quarterly blood work, and generally understood her condition. Her doctor had given her dietary guidelines, including a list of foods to limit, but Helen had missed one important detail. Helen's grandson had recently introduced her to protein smoothies. He was a fitness enthusiast and had convinced his grandmother that these shakes would help her maintain muscle mass and energy as she aged. The recipe he'd shared included banana, peanut butter, milk, and protein powder. Helen loved these smoothies and started having one every single day, sometimes 2. Within 3 weeks, Helen began experiencing severe muscle weakness. Her legs felt strange, almost numb at times. She had episodes of irregular heartbeat that frightened her terribly. She also noticed she was more confused than usual, struggling to remember simple things and feeling mentally foggy. Her daughter noticed the changes during a phone call and insisted Helen go to the emergency room. Blood tests revealed Helen's potassium level was critically high at 7.2 milliequivalents per liter. Normal range is 3.5 to 5.0. At levels above 6.0, you're at serious risk for cardiac arrest. Helen's heart rhythm was already showing dangerous abnormalities on the EKG. She was immediately admitted to intensive care. The doctors worked urgently to bring her potassium down using medications and eventually emergency dialysis. During her hospital stay, a renal dietitian reviewed Helen's diet in detail. When they got to the daily smoothies, the dietitian's expression became grave. Each smoothie contained not just a banana, extremely high in potassium, but also peanut butter and milk, both of which also contain significant potassium. For someone with Helen's level of kidney function, this was a recipe for disaster. Helen told me later, with tears in her eyes, how terrified she'd been. She'd thought she was making healthy choices, supporting her body with good nutrition. Instead, she'd nearly died. Her nephrologist explained that with her kidney function, she needed to limit potassium intake strictly, keeping it under 2,000 milligrams daily. A single banana contains about 420 milligrams, and with the other high-potassium foods in her diet, she was consuming far more than her compromised kidneys could handle. Helen recovered, but the experience changed her relationship with food forever. She now weighs and measures everything, checks potassium content religiously, and works closely with a renal dietitian. She keeps a photo of a banana on her refrigerator with a red X through it, a visual reminder of how something so innocent-looking can become deadly when your body can't process it properly. If these stories are resonating with you, please leave a comment letting me know. Your engagement helps me understand what content serves you best. Now, there's another issue with bananas that affects many seniors but gets discussed far less frequently: digestive problems and blood sugar crashes. As we age, our digestive systems slow down. Many seniors struggle with constipation, which is ironic because bananas are often recommended for digestive health due to their fiber content. Here's the complexity. Unripe bananas contain resistant starch, which can actually worsen constipation in some people because it's harder to digest. Conversely, very ripe bananas are easier to digest but contain more simple sugars. For seniors with sensitive digestive systems, bananas can cause bloating, gas, and discomfort. Additionally, eating a banana on an empty stomach, which many seniors do at breakfast, can cause a rapid spike in blood sugar followed by a crash. This roller coaster effect can leave you feeling exhausted, shaky, and hungry again within an hour or two. For seniors who may already struggle with energy levels, this boom and bust cycle can significantly impact daily functioning. Mr. Thomas Anderson, a 69-year-old retired accountant from Phoenix, Arizona, experienced this firsthand. Thomas had always grabbed a banana and coffee for breakfast before heading out for his morning volunteer work at the local community center. He prided himself on eating light and healthy, avoiding the heavy breakfasts his friends enjoyed. But Thomas found himself struggling with energy. By mid-morning, he'd feel absolutely drained, sometimes even shaky and lightheaded. He'd need to sit down, sometimes even needing to cut his volunteer session short. He worried he was developing a serious health problem. His wife urged him to see his doctor. After running tests that came back normal, Thomas's doctor suggested he keep a detailed food and symptom diary. The pattern became obvious quickly. On mornings when Thomas ate just a banana, he'd crash hard by 10 or 11 a.m. On mornings when he had eggs with vegetables or Greek yogurt with nuts, he maintained steady energy throughout the morning. The doctor explained that while the banana provided quick energy from its natural sugars, it lacked sufficient protein and fat to sustain Thomas's blood sugar levels. The rapid spike was followed by an equally rapid drop, creating that awful crashed feeling. For seniors like Thomas, whose metabolism has slowed with age, this effect can be even more pronounced than in younger people. Thomas adjusted his breakfast to include protein and healthy fats alongside any fruit he ate. When he did have a banana, he'd pair it with almond butter or have it after a protein-rich meal. His energy levels stabilized dramatically, and he was able to fully enjoy his volunteer work again. Such a simple change, but it made an enormous difference in his quality of life. Let's discuss medication interactions more broadly, because this is absolutely crucial information for anyone over 60. Bananas interact with far more medications than most people realize. We've already discussed ACE inhibitors for blood pressure, but the list goes on. ARBs, another class of blood pressure medications, have the same potassium-retaining effect as ACE inhibitors. Potassium-sparing diuretics, used for heart failure and hypertension, are specifically designed to keep potassium in your body, making banana consumption particularly risky. NSAIDs, those common pain relievers many seniors take for arthritis, can also affect potassium levels and kidney function. Then there are the less obvious interactions. Some antidepressants, particularly MAO inhibitors, can interact with tyramine, a compound that increases as bananas ripen. Beta blockers can interfere with potassium regulation. Even some antibiotics can affect how your body handles potassium. Mrs. Linda Fernandez, a 74-year-old former nurse from Miami, Florida, knew about medication interactions professionally, but learned about banana risks personally. Linda took several medications for various conditions: lisinopril for blood pressure, spironolactone for fluid retention, and naproxen for arthritis pain. She considered herself knowledgeable about her medications and felt confident managing her health. Linda had always eaten healthily, and as she'd gotten older, she'd increased her fruit intake, believing more fruit meant better health. She was eating 2 to 3 bananas daily, plus other potassium-rich foods like avocados, spinach, and sweet potatoes. She felt virtuous about her dietary choices. But Linda began experiencing concerning symptoms: profound fatigue, muscle weakness so severe she struggled to climb stairs, and episodes of heart palpitations that left her breathless and anxious. As a former nurse, she knew these symptoms warranted investigation. Her primary care physician ran comprehensive blood work. The results showed elevated potassium, and when the doctor reviewed Linda's medications alongside her dietary habits, the picture became clear. Linda was taking 2 medications that increased potassium retention, plus an NSAID that affected kidney function, while consuming a diet exceptionally high in potassium. Her nursing background hadn't prepared her for this specific interaction, because she'd never connected everyday foods with medication effects in quite this way. Linda's doctor adjusted her medications and worked with her to modify her diet. Linda had to significantly reduce her banana intake, limiting herself to half a small banana just twice weekly, carefully balanced with her other dietary potassium sources. She found this restriction difficult emotionally. Bananas had represented healthy eating to her, and limiting them felt counterintuitive. But Linda's symptoms resolved within weeks of making these changes. Her energy returned, the muscle weakness disappeared, and her heart rhythm stabilized. The experience humbled her and made her realize that even healthcare professionals can miss these subtle but critical interactions between diet and medication. She now teaches classes at her community center about medication and food interactions, sharing her story to prevent others from experiencing the same problems. Here's something else critically important that doesn't get discussed enough: the impact of bananas on seniors with migraine disorders. Many people over 60 deal with headaches and migraines, and certain foods are known triggers. Bananas contain tyramine, especially as they ripen, which can trigger migraines in susceptible individuals. For seniors who already deal with age-related headaches, vascular changes, and possibly migraine conditions, bananas can be a hidden trigger that makes their symptoms worse. The challenge is that the migraine might not occur immediately after eating the banana, making it difficult to connect cause and effect without careful tracking. Mr. David Kim, a 63-year-old photographer from Portland, Oregon, had suffered from migraines since his 20s, but they'd worsened as he'd gotten older. His neurologist had tried various preventive medications with limited success. David kept a headache diary, as his doctor recommended, but couldn't identify clear patterns in his triggers. David's wife suggested he try eating healthier, and he began starting each day with a fruit smoothie containing banana, which he'd read was good for brain health. He was trying to take better care of himself as he entered his 60s. But paradoxically, his migraines increased in frequency. Some weeks he'd have 3 or 4 severe headaches, forcing him to cancel photography sessions and miss important family events. His neurologist suggested an elimination diet, systematically removing common trigger foods one at a time to identify culprits. When David eliminated bananas, his migraine frequency dropped dramatically within 2 weeks. He was shocked. He'd been consuming what he thought was a healthy food that was actually triggering many of his debilitating headaches. The neurologist explained that tyramine in ripe bananas can cause blood vessels to constrict and then dilate, triggering migraines in sensitive individuals. For David, whose vascular system was already prone to these problematic changes, the bananas were adding fuel to the fire. Removing them from his diet didn't eliminate his migraines completely, but it reduced their frequency by about 60%, a life-changing improvement. David now carefully avoids not just bananas but also other high-tyramine foods like aged cheeses and fermented products. He wishes someone had told him years earlier that his healthy morning smoothie might be sabotaging his health. He tells his story to anyone who will listen, hoping to spare others from the years of suffering he endured unnecessarily. Let me address something that might be going through your mind right now. If bananas can cause all these problems, why aren't doctors warning everyone? The answer is complex. First, for most people, bananas are genuinely healthy and cause no problems whatsoever. Second, doctors have limited time with patients and often focus on the most immediate concerns. Third, unless a patient specifically asks about dietary impacts on their medications, or unless a doctor is particularly thorough about nutritional counseling, these details can slip through the cracks. This is why I'm so passionate about creating content like this. You need to be your own best health advocate. You need to understand not just what medications you're taking and why, but also how your diet interacts with those medications. You need to know which health conditions make certain foods problematic, even foods that are generally considered healthy. I also want to address the emotional component of this information. Many of the patients I've shared with you felt betrayed or confused when they learned that something they'd trusted as healthy was actually harming them. Mrs. Gonzalez felt angry that her doctor hadn't explained the potassium interaction more clearly. Mr. Santos felt embarrassed that he hadn't figured out the smoothie problem himself. Mrs. Chang felt scared and vulnerable, realizing how close she'd come to a fatal cardiac event. These emotions are completely valid and understandable. But I want you to hear this clearly. If you're learning something new from this video, that doesn't mean you've been doing something wrong or stupid. Medical information is complex and constantly evolving. The interactions between foods, medications, and age-related body changes are subtle and not always intuitive. The fact that you're here, watching this video, learning this information, means you're taking responsibility for your health in a powerful way. Let me also be clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not suggesting that bananas are bad foods, or that you should avoid them entirely unless you have a specific reason to do so. For many seniors, bananas are a wonderful source of nutrients, energy, and fiber. They're convenient, affordable, and delicious. What I'm saying is that you need to be aware of when bananas might become problematic for your specific situation. If you're taking any of the medications I've mentioned, if you have kidney disease, if you have diabetes or prediabetes, if you struggle with migraines, or if you have any condition that affects how your body processes potassium or sugar, then you need to have a detailed conversation with your doctor about how bananas fit into your diet. You may need to limit quantity, adjust timing, or balance bananas carefully with other foods. In some cases, you may need to avoid them altogether. The key is individualization. Your dietary needs are unique to your body, your health conditions, your medications, and your overall lifestyle. What works perfectly for your neighbor might be problematic for you, and vice versa. This is why cookie-cutter nutritional advice can be so dangerous, especially for seniors managing multiple health conditions. Here's what I recommend you do with this information. First, make a list of all your current medications, including prescription drugs, over-the-counter medications, and supplements. Second, review your typical daily diet, paying particular attention to high-potassium foods like bananas, avocados, spinach, tomatoes, sweet potatoes, and beans. Third, take this information to your next doctor's appointment and have a frank conversation about whether your banana consumption could be problematic. Ask your doctor these specific questions. Do any of my medications affect potassium levels? Should I be limiting potassium in my diet? How many bananas, if any, are safe for me to eat given my health conditions and medications? Are there any other dietary restrictions I should be aware of based on my medications? If your doctor hasn't recently checked your kidney function, ask for a comprehensive metabolic panel that includes kidney function tests and electrolyte levels, including potassium. These blood tests are simple and can provide crucial information about how well your body is handling the minerals from your diet. For those of you managing diabetes or prediabetes, talk to your doctor or a diabetes educator about how to incorporate fruit into your meal plan appropriately. Learn about portion sizes, how to pair fruit with protein and fat to minimize blood sugar spikes, and which fruits might be better choices than others for maintaining stable glucose levels. If you've been experiencing any of the symptoms I've described in these stories, unexplained fatigue, muscle weakness, irregular heartbeat, digestive issues, energy crashes, or increased migraines, don't ignore them. These symptoms can have many causes, but food-medication interactions should definitely be on the list of possibilities to investigate. I want to end with a message of empowerment rather than fear. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. Yes, I've shared some concerning stories today, but notice that in every single case, once the problem was identified, it could be addressed. Mrs. Gonzalez learned to adjust her diet and is now thriving. Mr. Santos found the right balance for managing his diabetes. Mrs. Chang works successfully with her renal dietitian and has avoided further crises. Mr. Anderson has consistent energy throughout his day. Mrs. Fernandez has her symptoms under control. Mr. Kim has dramatically fewer migraines. These aren't stories of defeat. They're stories of people who learned important information about their bodies and made informed adjustments that improved their quality of life. That's what I want for you. I want you to have the information you need to make choices that support your health rather than undermine it, even when those choices involve something as seemingly simple as whether to eat a banana. Your body is complex and remarkable, but it does change as you age. What worked for you at 30 or 40 might not work the same way at 60 or 70. That's not failure, that's just reality. The wisest approach is to stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged with your healthcare team. Ask questions, advocate for yourself. Don't assume that something is safe just because it's natural, or because it's generally considered healthy. Remember, I'm not telling you to fear food or to eliminate anything unless there's a specific medical reason. I'm encouraging you to be thoughtful and informed. Understand your body's unique needs. Recognize that medications, health conditions, and age can change how your body responds to different foods. And know that with the right information and guidance, you can navigate these complexities successfully. Before we finish, I want to remind you one more time. Nothing in this video is intended to replace personalized medical advice from your own healthcare provider. I don't know your specific health situation, your complete medical history, or your individual needs. Everything I've shared today is educational information meant to spark conversations with your doctor, not to provide specific medical direction for your particular case. If you're concerned about anything you've heard today, please reach out to your healthcare provider. Schedule an appointment specifically to discuss your diet and medications. Bring a list of questions. Take notes during the conversation. And don't leave the office until you feel confident that you understand how your diet and medications interact. I hope this information has been valuable for you. If you found this helpful, please like this video and share it with friends or family members who might benefit from this information. So many seniors are eating bananas daily without realizing the potential risks for their specific situations. By sharing this video, you could literally save someone from a serious health crisis. Also, please leave a comment telling me what other health topics you'd like me to cover. I read every comment and use your suggestions to create content that addresses your real concerns and questions. Your input directly shapes what I create, helping me serve you and this community better. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. I cover a wide range of health topics specifically relevant to people over 60. Always with the goal of providing practical, science-based information that you can actually use to improve your health and quality of life. Thank you so much for watching today and for taking your health seriously enough to invest this time in learning. That commitment to staying informed and engaged with your wellness is one of the most powerful things you can do as you age. Take care of yourself, stay curious, ask questions, and remember that you're not alone in navigating the complexities of aging and health. I'm here to help. Your doctors are here to help. And this community is here to support you. Until next time, this is Dr. Susan Miller reminding you that small changes in knowledge can lead to big improvements in health. Be well, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.